morning, everyone. Welcome to CSP's webinar series. This one backed by popular demand on the Microsoft Outlook tips and tricks. My name is Stephen Riddick. I will be your host and tour guide today. We greatly appreciate your time and appreciate you spending a few minutes with us. So without further ado, I know it is the bottom of the hour, so we will go ahead and get rolling. Before we do dive into the tips and tricks, a few brief logistics. Would like to start with, as I said just momentarily ago, a big thank you. Again, I know everyone is extremely busy, so thank you for taking some time out of your day. With that, secondly, I know your time is valuable. So while we appreciate you taking some time, I want this to be as valuable as possible. I believe the invite actually said an hour, but do try hard. Have gotten feedback in the past that people prefer these to be 30 minutes. So my goal today is to stick within a 30-minute window, plus to not overwhelm you with so many tips and tricks that you can't remember anything. Would rather give you a few good, valuable ones and let you walk away with some positive nuggets that you can remember. As you know, you have been muted upon entry. That does not mean that we do not want to hear from you. We would love to hear from you, both any questions that you have about this content. Feel free to ask. You can ask via the chat. Once I wrap up, have allotted a little bit of time at the end for Q&A, so we'd be happy to answer any questions. And then also, always love to hear what you think about how I do, how the topic is, how the content is, how the delivery is, other topics you would like to see in the future, anything like that. We do this for you, so we want it to be as valuable as possible. So we definitely appreciate any input that you can provide. And I guess finally, in regard to mute on entry, so I would love to make it as collaborative as we could, but we have had run into situations in the past where people start talking or there's background noise or other things. So apologies that we do mute you on entry, but I hope you understand it is to try to give a better viewing and listening experience for all involved and all here. With that, I would like to give just some brief introductions, and then we'll get rolling. I glanced at the registration list again this morning. Thank you all, man. A ton of people. Like I said, this always seems to be one of our most popular topics, so thanks to everyone for attending. While I know a lot of you and some of you are CSP clients, there are a few of you for whom I did not recognize your name or your company's name, so I would like to briefly give you a little bit of background into CSP. So we are a 24-year-old IT solutions and services provider here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Extremely proud of the team and of those 24 years. It's been a fantastic journey. You know, I think one thing that really differentiates us is that you're IT partner, and we take that to heart. We do try to view things as a customer service organization that happens to focus on technology and not just a group of technologists who don't care all about customer service. So that has been our mantra from the start, and it's led us to some great things. But with that said, obviously the technology is the crux of what we do, and it's a wide range of technology services and solutions. I will say right now, our biggest areas of growth, I think if you look at 2018, security could not do enough in that space, continuing to get more and more questions, having more and more prospects, clients ask us. That was our biggest area of growth. Continuing to do a lot in the cloud. I think that was our second biggest growth area, as well as thirdly, our managed services. So our support offerings continue to grow. We're really seeing all that an end-to-end solutions provider and all facets of the business being important and valuable. For whatever reason, to start off this year, we've seen a ton of hosted voice deployments. That has been a really hot topic for people. But again, across the board, we're happy to help. So if you do have any IT questions, feel free to follow up after we're done. We'd be happy to come assist. And finally, as for me, as I said, my name is Stephen Riddick. I'm our VP of Sales and Marketing. I've been here for about 6 years now. One disclaimer, I actually come from a business background, so I'm a history and economics major who went on to get his MBA, who now is in the technology business. So I love the technology, but if the questions get overly technical, just to let you know from the start, I may be saying, let me go grab one of my awesome engineers and I'll be following up with you afterwards because, again, I like to know what I'm selling. I dive in. I've gotten plenty of technical certifications, but I'm not an engineer, so I guess one brief heads up there. Oh, and I'm sorry, final disclaimer. Before we dive in, I am using Microsoft Office 365. both on the client side, so latest version of Outlook, I think it's 2019, but it's also a little bit of a different flavor for Office 365 and Office, and also Microsoft Office 365, their hosted Exchange. So our Exchange is in the cloud as well. This truly is the latest and greatest. What I'm going to show you today, we're going to get out of PowerPoint, dive into Outlook, see some of these features. I think the majority should work for you, but if you are on a very old, antiquated version of Outlook, or if you're still on an older version of Exchange, you might not have access to all of these at the exact moment, and just want to give you a friendly FYI on that. So if nothing else, so good excuse for you to upgrade, good excuse for you to go to whomever that decision maker may be and say, hey, have we considered getting on the latest and greatest? There's some cool things out there that you can do. Not to mention Office 365, if you're not, I guess one plug there, truly just a great tool set, continuing to really be the leader in our industry when it comes to both the hosted Exchange as well as the client-facing experience. So today, as I said a moment ago, and I'm seeing some more attendees just trickle in, so for those of you who are a little later, I took today's approach and I sat through some of these myself instead of trying to cram 20 different ideas into an hour-long session and blow through them extremely fast. Really trying to I broke it down into what I term 3 sort of different classes. And then with each one of those have 3 tips/tricks. So hopefully today you'll be walking away with 9 things, not expecting every one of these to be brand new, revolutionary for anybody, but hopefully you get a handful of good tricks here at the end that you're confident is worth the time and value to you. So these 3 classes I termed Outlook 101, don't be a slacker, just some good productivity type tools. Outlook 201, a little bit more advanced, but how to better stay organized. And then Outlook 301, just some sort of cool random things that I found in the newer release that can be a lot of fun. So to start, Outlook 101, don't be a slacker. The 3 things that we would like to touch on today. 1, never miss a reminder. 2, don't be distracted. And 3, delay your delivery. So those are the 3 areas where you're going to start. And as I said, instead of just giving you a death by PowerPoint, we are going to look at Outlook proper, look at Outlook itself. So this is my live Outlook. I did close different accounts and personal things. I just went into one. This is an older, a little bit of an older vendor folder to use. So nothing confidential, nothing private, proprietary in here. So don't worry about that. But we will use this to navigate. So first, don't miss a meeting. And this is a great tip for how to show reminders over other programs or applications. I know we're in a virtual setting, but I guess think to yourself, maybe a little virtual input here. And that's just raise your hand to yourself if you or a coworker has ever been late to a meeting because their meeting reminder pop-up got buried behind some other screens. I would guess a large number of you are familiar with that. For me, candidly, it's on a honestly weekly basis where we'll have somebody late joining a call, late coming into a conference room saying, oh man, sorry, I was doing 2 things. I got my reminder. It got stuck behind a few other screens. And then next thing I know, it's 5 after, it's 10 after, and I missed that reminder. So fortunately, there is a way to fix this. So here again, your main Outlook screen. We're going to spend a lot of time here today, but if you go here top left, you see my mouse, go into your file section, come down here into options, and then we are going to look at advanced options. When we look in this section, you see here in the middle, reminders. So you can say show reminders. That's what a lot of you probably have set by default. That's a good way to do. Again, they'll pop up, but it's easy for them to get lost. Here is one simple checkbox that I would urge anyone to consider. Show reminders on top of other windows. So that is, even if you're in Word, say, even if you're in PowerPoint, if you're browsing the web, that pop-up window alerting you will come to the top of all of those screens to give you that reminder. So we have that checked. If you would like a sound, you can. I'm a little adverse to sound, so I am just going to come in. And again, big thing, hit OK, don't hit cancel, and that will automatically implement itself. So at that point, you are able to, again, whenever you get that reminder, whatever you're doing, you'll get a pop-up to show you that reminder. Okay, The second thing in our 101 course, eliminate your distractions, stay focused, stay present, and try to get rid. I know I just talked about good reminder pop-ups. Those are positive. But if you are like me, you probably get a lot of emails throughout the day. And who is used to seeing in that bottom right-hand corner all of those emails popping up? And while I'm sure this will not surprise you, these are huge distractions. If you're working on a big project, if you are just in really deep in an Excel spreadsheet, if you're even drafting an email, even if you don't stop and actually click on that and open that, best case, that still is taking your attention away. Worst case is you see it, it comes top of mind, you click on it, you open that email, you start responding to that one. Next thing you know, you see another one, that one comes in, and before you know it, you have 8 different windows open, multitasking. You've drafted one email that is more or less done, you haven't even sent on, and then you realize at the end of the day you forgot to hit send, and just too much going on. So this is one that I have done personally and just love the benefits. I read something actually, I think it was a Harvard study talking about this, how those minor distractions prevent you from being present in your work and staying focused. And you're so much better off to allot some time, focus on the one thing that you're doing, knock that out, and then move on to the next. And maybe you just set aside 30 minutes for yourself to be able to blow through all those emails. And I think you will find that allows you to be much more efficient in how you work, much more efficient in how you respond to the emails, and stay focused on the task at hand. So how do we do this? And again, similar to last time, here in Outlook, I'm going to come up to the file and see, there we go. I actually turned this off just now so you could see where it was, but that's the exact type of pop-up that I am alluding to. And so we are going to come back into File on the top, go down to Options, go to Mail here when I get this pop-up, and then you will see Message Arrival. And again, I've had this turned off. I turned it back on this morning just so you could see the changes that would make, but I like to take off the sound. I like to change or take away, briefly change the mouse pointer, and also display a desktop alert. That's the big one. That bottom one is the one, once I hit OK, you will notice I am not going to get any more pop-ups here in my bottom right to interrupt me as I go along. I do like to say I keep this one checked, show an envelope icon in the taskbar. This one here for any new messages. That's a personal preference, obviously, but again, I've done this personally. I've found I've been able to stay so much better focused just when I'm deep in a project and not be distracted by that. So I'm going to hit OK, and again, you'll notice here for the rest of our time, hopefully, assuming the live demo works properly, you won't see any more of those pop-ups. All right, the third lesson from the 101 segment is delay your message delivery. Do you ever have a draft email that needs to be sent, but maybe not at that exact moment? Maybe you're up at 4 a.m., you couldn't sleep, and you're banging a lot of emails because you're thinking, you know what, I don't want to bother my team, bother my clients in case they have their phone next to them with pings at 4 a.m., but you want to go ahead and hit send. Or maybe there's an important announcement, but you need to go into a meeting first. You're meeting with a new client, and you want to update your team, and you want to go ahead and draft that email, but you do not want that email to be sent until once you have that conversation. So those are just a few examples. This one has been around for a little while, but I do think it's a good reminder, something that a lot of people forgot about when I polled our team and asked people how they use Outlook. So for this, we are going to come into a new email. We're going to draft a new email. We have a fake dummy demo account at CSP, Jim Valvano. I'm going to just say congrats on the championship. But you know what? That actually is not going to work. Let's say it's a big announcement on a new recruit that we've gotten, but it hasn't gone public yet. And I know I'm going to the press conference with the team. So I'm going to say, thanks, congrats on getting our new recruit. So I want to come out, and then I go into options here, and right here in options, more options, there is a delay delivery. and I can check do not deliver before today at 5 o'clock. Maybe I know that press conference or the press release is going out at 5. I want to alert my team at that same time, and I am going to, deliver it before 5 o'clock, close that out, and then when I hit send, that email will go out, won't go out until 5 o'clock this afternoon. The next section to keep going through is what I termed Outlook 201, some good ways to stay organized. First, we're going to talk about avoiding the clutter of unread messages. Second, we're going to discuss multiple screens, multiple outlooks. And finally, some spring cleaning of folder style. Coming back into Outlook. One thing that I'm sure if you're anything like me, you will notice a just frustration build with a seemingly endless number of unread emails. Whether you have set up rules for certain emails from, for example, I subscribe to a Triangle Business Journal news alert. I just have those emails sent or forwarded directly into a folder for those alerts. I have something from the Harvard Business Review that I subscribe to for more tips and daily leadership lessons. I have those going to a folder. If you're not careful, all those will start to build up, or maybe if you're even like me, my deleted files, I'm not going to even show you how many, but so many of my deleted items, I have, a ton of unread or what appear to be unread notes there. And that is because a lot of times they're in the reading pane. I glance at it, I know it's spam or I know it's junk, and I'll automatically delete it. So we have and really the reason that could be a pain is if you're trying to search on unread. Again, it can be a challenge to see, even if they're things that you've looked at through the reading pane, for example. If you do a search on that, it can be a big challenge for a lot of people. So we have a few options for how to address this. The first thing we can do, this is a small one, but for those deleted items, we can automatically mark messages as read when they're deleted. And so to do that, we are going to go back into File. We are going to go back into our options, back into Mail once more. Sorry, I have my GoToMeeting here on the side. Let me just move that out of the way. And we are going to come down to Other here at the very bottom, and there is a checkbox here, Mark Message as Read when Deleted. Hit OK, and that will automatically put that rule in place. Another thing you can do is automatically just go into a folder and mark items as read or unread. So again, let's say you have that folder and you're getting rules just automatically forwarded in there. You want to scan through them and just do some of that spring cleaning, clear them out. I sent some test messages to my 8x8 folder this morning. They're actually showing back up as new. So very simple here. One, with any message selected, I can then hit Control A. Control A will automatically select all items within that folder. I then right click. When I right click, I get all of these different options. I'm going to mark them as read, and I have lost all of those read. I'm no longer annoyed by that. Okay, and there is one more thing that you can do. If you've noticed in the reading pane here, again, that's probably the biggest way that things stay read or unread, is that, again, I could look at a message, it automatically pops up, I can glance at it in my reading pane, but it stays as unread. So one thing that you can do is come back into File, come into Options. This time we are going to go into Advanced. Now we are going to go into the reading pane when I'm in this Advanced section. And here's a really interesting one here. Mark items as read when viewed in the reading pane. And again, you can say, so if I'm looking at that for 5 seconds within the reading pane, is automatically going to mark that as read. Click OK and go from there. Next item, multiple screens, multiple outlooks. This is another tip that somebody gave me a few months back that I've found extremely helpful. For those of you who have multiple screens, maybe you have a docking station, or even if you don't, but you have multiple screens on your desk. If you are anything like me, a lot of times you're leveraging multiple components within Outlook. For example, maybe my mail and my calendar. Somebody asks me when I'm available for a meeting. A lot of times, if it's this test, what I will do, I'll hit reply. I'll start replying right here. I'm responding in the reading pane. I'll then jump over to my calendar to try to remember those dates and times. I'll then come back, and there is a lot of back and forth, and a lot of times I forget the date that I have available, and it turns into multiple back and forth. A lot of times then I'll maybe pop out, drag it over the other screen, but even then it normally takes me a minute or two to remember to do that. So a great suggestion that I just love was you can actually run multiple instances of Outlook at the exact same time. So if you have multiple screens, what I now do in the morning is when I launch Outlook, down here at the bottom right now, I just have a single instance of Outlook available. I can come down to my toolbar, I right click on that. Right here from the right click, I then have the option to go to Outlook, and I'm going to launch Outlook again. And now from here, maybe I want to put this, and sorry, I have so much on my calendar. I won't make y'all look at my entire calendar, but yeah, we'll come down here. So I now take my calendar, and now look, I have two instances of Outlook open. I'll drag this one over to my other screen, just keep in the background, so as I'm going through emails, knowing that more or less I'm always going to be looking at my calendar, that I will have that up real time, be able to know what's next, yet at the same time, I'm using my other screen, my primary screen, to respond to my email. So that's a very simple trick, but again, one that I've found to be extremely worthwhile and extremely helpful. Okay, one more from the spring cleaning category, or I'm sorry, from the organizations category, and this is about spring cleaning and getting rid of junk. When you think about spring cleaning, if you're like me, a lot of the times you think about over the year, you accumulate different items and it's purging some old. It's thinking I've gotten, maybe if you just think about your closet, I've gotten a few new shirts. There might be some older shirts in there that I haven't worn quite as often. Maybe I want to go donate those to Goodwill, purge some. So that's sort of the continual cycle. Well, you can do something very, very similar in Outlook. If you're like me, I save a lot of stuff in folders for all of our clients, accounts, HR stuff. But a lot of times there might be a very long thread, which at the time is important, but it might be a 20 email thread. So if I'm going back at a later date to search, let's just say a lot of sort of junk to search through. So Microsoft has one really cool feature that allows you to clean up the folder. So it makes it easier for you to manage those email messages within the folder. So if you go to the folder, for example, here, I'm going to go to 8x8, and right here you have I right-clicked on 8x8. I'm sorry about that. By the way, if you need a hosted voice system, 8x8 is an awesome hosted voice provider, but I'm going to come to Clean Up folder. You can then see some settings that it says, for the cleanup, conversation cleanup, right down here. So you can say if you want to clean up, if you want to send all those into a certain folder, you can. You can do things with subfolders, don't leave unread messages. I'm not going to worry about any of that, and just say, okay, I like it, and say clean up folder. And it is going to take anything within a thread, within a chain, and move that into a single thread. So you will have all your emails, but it'll be in one single thread as opposed to having 10 different emails all with the same topic in sort of chronological view, if that makes sense. Okay, finally, a few cool items or things that I've found pretty cool. 1, use your ears. 2, don't let time zones confuse you. And 3, phrases for dates. Sorry, I know I said I'd keep this to 30 minutes, so I will try to be brief for these final ones. But 1, use your ears. If you're a multitasker, maybe you're trying to do a couple different things at once. Maybe you're cleaning your office, or heck, maybe you're even at home doing the dishes and thinking, man, you know what? So I can watch my show when I'm done. I'd like to catch up on a few emails from the day. One really cool thing that has been released is now Microsoft's Read Aloud feature. So I'm not sure if you've noticed this. It is in the latest release, but you can actually have Microsoft read your emails to you. If you don't see it there, first let's go to how to make sure you have it. So if you go into File, go into Options, And then we are going to come down here to ease of access. Within the ease of access, we're going to make sure that show read aloud is checked. If it is, we're going to hit OK. And then again, at that point, it should be on your toolbar here. At that point, it is very simple. I select the email I want to read aloud. I say read aloud.
What time Thursday or Friday good for you? How about 10 a.m. East on Thursday? Would be a quick call to see how I can help you guys really grow your MRR backup and DR and dev/ops as a service side of the house.
So as you can hear, that is an easy way to have your emails read to you. Again, if you're ever multitasking, a really great feature that allows you to have your emails read to you. Okay, next in this category is don't be confused by time zones. My wife travels a ton for her job, but more importantly, she has people they all work remotely. She has bosses in New York, but also people in the Silicon Valley. They have a team in Phoenix. For those of you who don't know, Arizona has its own weird time zone because they're technically out west, but they don't use daylight savings. So again, there is some weirdness there. So while time zones you might think are easy, they can be confusing fast. So a couple really cool tricks that actually Elizabeth has taught me in regard to time zones. One, I did a little research. So just so you know, Outlook or Exchange saves all times for meetings in what's termed the Coordinated Universal Time. So that's just an international time standard similar to like the Greenwich Mean Time. So that's going to be the same for everyone. So then what Outlook does is, though, it recognizes where you are and it's going to display in your respective local time. But again, that's still saved in the UTC. So if you're traveling, if your time changes, that's how you might notice on your phone, it'll automatically update. If you change the time on your laptop, it'll change with you. But there's some tricks within Outlook to make that even easier. Excuse me. So one, just to change your time zone, very simple, but you can come back to File again, down to Options yet again, and now we're going to go to Calendar. When you go to your calendar, you will scroll down and see this section here for time zones. Obviously, we are in the Eastern time zone, US and Canada. All right, so the one thing that I want to do that I think is now really cool is you can add multiple time zones into Outlook. So again, let's say you have people whom you work with, clients, bosses, coworkers who are in a standard time zone. You're having to come look at this fairly regularly. You can tag this as Eastern. We can show a second time zone. Maybe this one is going to be Pacific. And I will come out to Pacific time, US and Canada. And maybe I have some coworkers in Arizona. I'm going to label that as Arizona. I'm going to come in and then you see the time zone for Arizona. I'm going to click OK. And now what's really cool for those of you, again, you didn't see it beforehand, but if you've never noticed this before, there is we now have 3 time zones showing up right here in Outlook. We have an Eastern, a Pacific, and Arizona. So you can see what that is at any given time right there when you're scheduling and not have to do that math in your head. All right, and one final cool one to wrap with. When scheduling a meeting, let's come on up here. You can leverage phrases to find dates and times. So if I want to schedule a new meeting, the meeting pops up as all you are probably familiar with, who you want to send it to, the subject, the location, and then the date. You can obviously click on here. You can go find it, find what you want to do. But one really cool thing that you can do right here in the start time, you can just start typing. So you can say, this Friday, enter, and it'll automatically populate. Maybe this is something that man, I need to give myself a reminder, or I've told a client that we want to have a touch base call, but not until fall's over. So maybe if I say the first Tuesday in September, boom, it'll automatically populate as 9/3/2019. maybe I have a meeting that I need to schedule for some earnings call, or maybe it's the first week of a quarter. I can just say, or maybe I just want to go ahead and kick off the new year. Um, first Monday in January, 1/6/2020. So a pretty cool feature that Outlook has that you can leverage. Okay, so with that said, I do apologize. I went 3 minutes over. I said I was hoping to have you out of here in 30 minutes. Didn't want to overwhelm you with too many options. And like I said, I'm not expecting every one of you to maybe be completely blind to all of those, but hopefully when you leave today, you can walk away with a couple nuggets of ways to make you more efficient. As one reminder, I did just want to go through them one final time. Again, never miss a reminder. I think that's a big one. I would definitely urge you to make it so your pop-ups do pop up even over other applications. Don't be distracted. That's been another big one for me, is not being distracted by that bottom right-hand corner. Stay focused, stay present on what you're doing, and finally, delay that delivery. Avoid the clutter of unread messages. Multiple screens, multiple options. That's another one that I have personally loved a lot, to be able to just have a calendar up at all times, not interfere with my mail. And finally, how to clean up those folders. Use your ears. You can listen to your emails, how to leverage time zones, and use phrases for dates. So with that, we will wrap. So I would like to thank everyone for the time today. If you have any questions, feel free to send them in via chat. Enjoy your Thursday, and thank you so much for your time.